Hey there, guys. I'm Renee. I am the owner and artist behind Chicly Reclaim Decor, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you how I upcycled this large pickle jar into this captivating ornate lantern. With an aged paint finish, this whimsical design will transport you to a bygone era, reminiscent of an old world fairy English garden. I'll be sharing everything from the build to how I hand painted this aged paint finish. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in learning, stick around because that's what I will be going over today. But before we begin, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified when I upload new tutorials. So I really wanted my lantern to be functional. So I'm going to add this handle on top so that way I can hold it. And I also am able to hang this when I'm all done. So after drilling a hole, I added this handle that I picked up from a salvaged kitchen cabinet. Once your labels are off and your pickle jar is clean, you're ready to start designing. So I am going to be using a variety of molds for this project, and I'm going to be starting by adding some trim to the top and the bottom just to add some ornate detail to this piece. I'm going to be using, like I said, a variety of molds, but I'm going to be using in particular paper air dry clay. Specifically because it is a lot lighter than regular air dry clay. And as I am going to be hanging this when it's all done, I want the design to be as light as possible. So before I add my clay, I'm going to simply just dust my mold with a little cornstarch. You could also use tapioca flour or something similar. This is just a release agent, so you can easily remove your clay once you're done here. And then I'm just going to go about the process of pushing my clay into the mold. And once done, I'm just going to flip it over, knead the back, and let gravity assist me to remove it. Okay guys, so once the initial mold work was complete, I really wanted to add a tapered base onto this design. So I'm going to be using a lid from a paint jar, and I am also going to be leveling off this rounded bottom here with just a piece of cardboard. You can use whatever cardboard is available to you, but I have found that with these thrifted canvases that you find around and about, this cardboard backing is really sturdy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rip off the canvas and I'm going to cut the cardboard to fit here on the bottom. Now remember, if you are using a canvas, they do utilize a water-based type glue to get the canvas onto the cardboard. So what I do is I just go ahead and sand that off. That way I don't have any adhesion issues later on when I go to add my water-based paint. And now, like I said, I'm just going to go about the process of gluing this into place. And this is what we were looking at once we had given our clay time to dry as well as that glue. And we are going to be filling some of these cracks here and adding an element of age to this design with a texture medium. This is an acrylic plaster by Pickle Paint, and I'm just going to be using a cheap chip brush and dabbing it into the cracks and dabbing it and stipling it to create these raised peaks for texture. And here in just a second, I will zoom in so you can get an up-close look at what I'm doing. So I just followed that exact same process to add this texture base onto this design, including on the lid, and this is what we were looking at when I was all done with that step. Next, we are ready to move on to adding the aged paint finish. So for the base layer here, I'm going to be using this dark brown color. This is Walnut by Mud Paint, and this is a heavily pigmented, very thick clay-based paint. And just as before, I'm just going to use a cheap chip brush to dab this into place over top of these moldings. And I'm not worried if I'm not getting complete coverage because, again, we're going for an age design, so it's just going to add to that look. And remember, this is a clay-based paint, so you can use a little water here and there to help you move the paint around. Next up, again, I'm going to be using a chip brush. As you can see here, I'm not going to overload it, and I'm going to be adding a very distressed layer of this paint over top of the brown. As you can see, some areas I'm adding this color on a little bit thicker, and other areas I'm just dry brushing it on. Just keep in mind during this step that you are not going for full coverage. Now, I know you guys have heard me say it many times, but the key to dry brushing really is not overloading your paintbrush. So as you can see here, I offloaded the majority of the paint before I went about gently brushing over this design. So my inspiration behind this design is actually my love for the movie Legend with Tom Cruise. I remember watching that with my brothers growing up, and in the beginning, the cottage that she visits in the woods, I imagine this lantern being hung up by the clock that freezes when the balance between good and evil is thrown off balance. So this definitely has kind of a grungy, patinaed element to the design, as you can see here in this up-close look, and I absolutely love that. Now, you could have kept it white if you are more of the less is more type, but I am really loving and digging this look that we created with all the layers. Now, to complete and add that whimsical element to our design, I added some thrifted moss and other floral greenery, and I topped it off with our faux candle to complete this old world style fairy lantern. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Again, my name is Renee. I am the owner and artist behind Chicly Reclaimed Decor, and today I hope I've inspired you to pick up a paintbrush and to do a little creating of your very own. If you are interested in seeing more of my art, please do take a stop by my Etsy and see all of my artistically refinished furniture and home decor, including my unique line of eco-resin art pieces. Till next time, bye.